and welcome to the first edition of my new TBR style video. It's not really a game, but kind of a TBR game, and it's going to be called TBR Trimdown. This video and series is inspired by Drinking by My Shelf's Balancing the Books series. So I will link her channel. This is my notebook. I will link her channel and her most recent Balancing the Books video down below in the description, so you can check that out. So if you guys saw my goals and intentions video, then you know that I have a whole lot of books that I really want to read before I buy any new books. So the goal is that eventually my TBR will be at 0, and then I can buy new books and fill it back up again. So the point of this series is that I'm going to be obviously trimming down my TBR. And what I've decided to do is, these are the rules that I came up with, is basically each month I'm going to come on here and it'll be like my wrap up, and I'll be talking about all the books that I read, all the books that I maybe borrowed from the library or from friends, and I will come up with a number that my TBR is at. So for example, at the beginning of March, this includes all my physical books and any Kindle or ebooks that I have as well, and so that number is at 105. So yeah, that number is at 105, which is a lot of books, and the goal of this is to get that down to 0. Yeah, so in order to do that, I'm going to get on here and talk about all of the books that I read, all the books that I've borrowed, and we're going to adjust that number based on all of those factors. Then, if for some reason that number goes up instead of down, which hopefully it doesn't, but I borrow a lot of books. Of course, the library is closed right now, so that should be to my benefit. But if that number goes up, whatever number it goes up, so for example, my TBR is at 105. If it went up to, let's say, 110, so I added 5 books to my TBR rather than taking any off, then I would pick those 5 books that it went up plus 2 more, so 7 books total, to be in my next month's TBR, to try and read in that following month. That way the number should hopefully go down the following month, but if I don't read those books in that month, then the following month I will either have to unhaul those books, or I will have to do some kind of challenge that will allow me to keep them. So I haven't come up with the challenges yet, but by next month those will be starting. So I hope that makes sense. That was kind of a lot of stuff, but hopefully as we go along you guys will see my vision and see what I mean by all of these things. And without any further ado, let's get into TBR Trimdown for the month of March. In the month of March, I started my TBR off at 105, which is a lot of books, but you know, we're just getting to it. And in this month, I read 5 books. The first book that I read, and actually the only book I still have physically, is To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. This is a very popular book series, a very popular couple of movies now that are out on Netflix, and my best friend will tell you that I am completely obsessed with them. I watched the movies before I read the book, and there are 3 books total, but I don't have the other 2 yet. I had them on hold at my library, and then everything closed. So I've only read the first one, but it was 5 out of 5 stars. So cute. I loved it. Then next up, I read the entire Selection trilogy. So this I borrowed from my friend Megan because she absolutely loves these books and I had never read them. They are kind of dystopian love stories, basically, so America has been taken over by a king, and he has a son who is now of like marrying age, and in order to find a bride for him, what they do is all the women across the country can go and submit their photos, and then apparently they're like randomly selected from each sort of state, and then they go to the palace, and it's kind of like The Bachelor, where they're all dating the prince, and the prince can get rid of them at any time, and then the last one remaining is his bride. So that's the selection, and I really didn't go into these with high hopes because I don't like The Bachelor. I've never watched it, never watched The Bachelorette. I've seen clips, and it's just not for me. I don't enjoy those kinds of drama shows. So I was not expecting much, but I did enjoy them. They're definitely more love stories than dystopian, although the farther you get into the book series, the more the politics kind of come into play, which I really enjoyed. I would have liked more of that side of things versus the love story, although the love story is super cute. So the first book got 3.5 stars, and then the second and third books each got 4 stars. So I did still really enjoy them, just more love story than dystopian. And lastly, I read A Sweet Connection by Cassidy Reed, which I got for free from the author, and is a really, really cute love story. As you can see, I was kind of on a love story kick this last month. It's not usually my genre, but I've just been craving all the light and fluffy and cute feels. The Sweet Connection is a really cute book with lots of fun characters, and I really enjoyed it. So I gave that one 4 out of 5 stars as well. So those are the only books that I read in March. That brings my TBR down to 100, which is fantastic. Since I didn't keep track of the beginning of March, like throughout what books I borrowed and which books I read, so I don't have that number, I'm just going to create a goal for myself, and that goal is to hit 95 or under on my TBR, which means I need to pick 5 books to read in the month of April. So I have actually started quite a few books. I was in a bit of a, well, I say a bit, but like I was in a true reading slump the last like week and a half, but I think I've finally gotten over it, and I'm starting to enjoy some books. So let me show you what books I've already started, and I don't know that all of these will be on my TBR for April, and I'll tell you why when we talk. Okay, here's my stack of books. First off, I've got Little Women, which I started at the beginning of the year, I think. I'm really enjoying it, but I finished part 1 like a month ago, and it just ends really happily, and I know what's going to happen in part 2, and I don't want it to happen, so I've been avoiding this book. I don't know if April will be the month that I pick it up again, because I just don't want the heartache to happen yet. So probably not going to be on my TBR for April. Next up, I started reading Sydney Chambers and The Shadow of Death. I love the Grant Chester TV show on PBS, and I've been watching them through Prime. So I picked up this book from the library last month. This is a collection of short stories. It's not one large novel, but each story has the same characters. Obviously Sydney Chambers, and he solves mysteries. So I am almost done with the first mystery in this book, and I am really liking it. It took me a minute to get into it, but I think this is the one that's kind of finally breaking my reading slump. So this is book number 1 for April. Next up, this last month, I also started this monster of a book, The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins, which is also a mystery. This is a classic book that many have touted as like one of the best mysteries ever written. It is almost 700 pages, so it's really thick. And honestly, I found so far the writing to be kind of slow, and it's one of those books that I really have to like concentrate on. I can't read it while like people in my family are watching TV or anything. It has to be quiet when I read it, so that's been kind of hard for me, especially now that everyone is home all the time. I don't really have a ton of quiet time unless I go in my room, but I don't like to sit in my room all day. So anyways, I haven't really been reading a ton of it. I am a little over 100 pages in, and I am gonna say that this is book number 2 for April. I will hopefully finish it, and hopefully I'll enjoy it. It's been okay so far, but not great. Next up, I've started reading the Jane Austen Selected Letters. This is selected letters from Jane Austen that R.W. Chapman put together. And it's been really interesting so far. I've only, like, this is how far I am into it, so not super far, but yeah, it's really fun to read letters from Jane Austen. These are basically just letters that she wrote, mostly to her sister, that are about things that are happening in her life. So yeah, it's been kind of fun to get a little glimpse into her as a person rather than just reading her novels, which I also love. So that is book number 3 for April. This next book is not going to be included on my 5 books for April, and that's because it's actually going to take me a full year to read this entire thing, but that is Closer to Christ by Emily Bell Freeman, and this is basically a book. She gives you a little section to read each week about a certain topic, and each month is a different topic that is supposed to bring you closer to Christ. And there's things like to ponder and different activities to do that you might just become closer to our Savior Jesus Christ. So this one's going to take a full year to read, but I'm really enjoying it. So those are all the books that I've started reading, and I still have to choose 2 books that I will be reading and finishing in the month of April. So let me look at my books, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, I'm back and I've chosen. So the first one that I've chosen is Banana Cream Pie Murder by Joanne Fluke. This is a Hannah Swenson murder mystery, one of her more recent ones, and no spoilers for the series, but I was really unhappy with things that happened in the last couple of books, and also the last couple of books I feel haven't been written as well as some of the earlier ones in the series. So I'm hoping that it's better, but we'll see. These are just fun, kind of cozy mysteries, and there are recipes included, which is always super fun since I love baking. So that's number 4, Banana Cream Pie Murder. And last but not least, since I have a lot of mysteries and murder mysteries, I decided to pick a fantasy. This is one that I got from the library, Elantris by Brandon Sanderson. My brother loves Brandon Sanderson's books, and I've heard a lot of really great things, but I've never read any. So I picked this one up from the library, and I'm going to read it in April. So that's book number 5. So here are all of the books that I'll be reading in the month of April. Hopefully I can get through all of them, but if not, then we'll get to try out my new unhaul or challenge system. So yeah, I'm going to try and read all of these, and I will see you guys with another video very soon.